We're on YouTube. And we can't get us back on LinkedIn. I don't know what that's all about, but can't get back on LinkedIn. But anyway, we're live right now. We're recording our program for this Saturday. This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now. You can tune in on Saturday on KDON to hear the edited version, or you can stay with us right now and hear the ever entertaining unedited version, where I've got Rick Sanami and I got Ben Grove here, and you know, with these two guys here, anything's possible. And so
unlikely, but possible.
There it is. But today we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. I know Ben's going to talk about a variety of inspection items, including structure and plumbing, which is that's some pretty important topics, I would say. And Ben and I were talking a little bit before the show about what's happening in the market right now. It's an interesting dynamic going on out there, and I'm interested to hear what Rick has to say about that as well. But then I've got a couple of articles we're going to talk about. We've got Nevada being among the top states for retirees. We've always known that.
Yep.
That's not a surprise, but good information. And then there's a report out that house prices could stop dropping, and I'm going to actually support that headline a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So we'll talk about those things, and then maybe a few other tidbits as we go into 110 degrees here on a Wednesday, preparing for Saturday. Anyway, here we go. We're going to get started. Segment one. Welcome to our show. This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now, where we bring you the 3 E's: educate, empower, and engage. We want to help you to make your real estate decisions wise ones for you and your family. I'm your host, Harvey Blankfeld of the Blankfeld Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and we have over a century of collective real estate experience. I'm a licensed agent here in Nevada. My NRED number is S.00488897. On this program, we're dedicated to delivering timely, balanced truths about local market conditions. If you ever have a question, or an idea for the program, please call or text me at 702-203-1165. Again, that's 702-203-1165. Today on our program, we have some outstanding guests for you. We have Ben Grove here from VIP Inspections. Welcome back, Ben.
Hello, Harvey. Good to be here.
Glad to have you back. And of course, we have Rick Senemy here from WFG Title. Welcome back again, Rick.
Thanks for having me, Harvey.
Glad to have you back. Ben, I want to start with you a little bit. I want to talk about a couple things inspection-wise. And the first thing I want to talk about is when you're dealing with new homes, the process of building it gives you the opportunity to see things that you wouldn't see in a resale.
Yeah, I mean, we always come in and talk about what's new with new homes, right? So,
right.
In the process of building the home, more and more people are doing this pre-insulation, pre-drywall inspection. So that's becoming
you get to see the
skeleton, more popular.
The skeleton of the home, right?
Yes, yeah. So what the builder refers to as the frame walk, which is where they usually have you, the home buyer, come in and they walk through with you to look and point out things, you know, that you can see at that point that you're not going to be able to see once the house is completed or once the drywall and everything goes up. So,
right.
But at that period of time, at that window, we can do an inspection. So we can look at important stuff,
right,
like some structure things that we won't see later on.
Right.
And even some little things. And you'd be amazed. I mean, it's like we didn't used to do a lot of these, and now we do a lot of these.
Right.
And we never come out of these without something.
Is that right?
Yeah, and that's not
interesting.
That's not because we're trying. I mean, we are trying, but it's
of course.
It's not just making stuff up.
You're not just looking to find something.
Right.
You're not hoping to find something.
Right. But we're legitimately. I mean, we're coming almost all the time out of these with something.
So what are the give me an idea,
okay,
Ben?
So on the structure side, let's say some structural things that might have been damaged during the installation. So things like floor joists, if it's a 2-story home, those come in prefabricated.
Right.
And roof trusses come in prefabricated. Right. So those things, when they leave the factory, they're as they should be, but now they've been on a truck, they've been shipped, they've been dropped at the lot, they've been picked up, they've been craned, they've been loaded, you know. So in the process of all of this, there's damage that can occur to those.
Gotcha.
And if that has happened, we want to get it addressed because we can see it, and it's also a lot easier to fix at that stage because you're still in the bare bones of the home.
Right.
So we want to get that fixed before we go any farther. So you'll see like a web of a truss that'll been broken or something with a floor joist. And then even the stick-built parts of the home, so let's say on the exterior load-bearing walls, maybe there was a stud that wasn't cut properly, or just structural things like that can be corrected ahead of time.
Right, and you also get the opportunity to review the plumbing, for instance. It's inside the walls.
Yeah, and you can see drain plumbing. I mean, you can see a lot of things. So maybe if there's a piece of plastic drain plumbing that's been damaged, or something that's loose or not supported properly, because when they run that tubing through the walls, it's supposed to be supported at certain intervals.
Right.
And if they don't have that supported properly, so just a lot of things that are going to go into the integrity of the home later on, things that you may notice later, or because, well, let's say you turn on the faucet and you hear the pipe banging inside the wall.
That's not good.
Yeah, well, that's caused by a support that wasn't put on.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Wasn't put on before.
A lot of pictures.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah, we
Because
do.
when I built a home, this is years ago, it was a track home, and one of the things that I did is I went in there quite often. I took pictures of where things were, especially the plumbing.
Yes.
Where it was in the wall, because I may in the past have hung up a picture frame and
Whoops.
maybe have hit something that I shouldn't have hit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a good sound. We don't want to hear that.
So knowing where, plumbing is, electrical. I mean, you have an idea,
Right.
But to actually see it sometimes is definitely important.
Yeah, we did the same thing when we built our home some years ago, and I saved all the pics. Back then, they were prints. It wasn't
Right.
on my phone. So I have in my toolbox in my garage. I have is a stack of photos of where the studs are and where everything between the studs is as well. So I think it's you'll give them with the inspection. You're going to give them some photographic documentation.
We'll definitely take some pictures of that. Yeah. We try to glance, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And I love home buyers that do that, because sometimes they'll meet me or we'll talk ahead of time, and they'll have been there every day and they'll have hundreds of pictures of every step of the process. I think it's great. That's
Absolutely.
wonderful if you're along for the process and can do that.
Whenever I'm working with a new home buyer, I always encourage them, get your tripod, find a spot and mark it out in front of the house, and then mark the 3 spots where the tripod sits, put your camera on it, and take a picture every week. And what you're going to end up with is this slow motion build of your home.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of a cool thing to save and share with your kids and your friends and your family. Hey, here's when the home was built, and blah, 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 and then there it is. It just goes from dirt to a beautiful home. It's kind of a cool thing. It's kind of a cool thing to do. And when you have that opportunity, not all of us have that opportunity. We're not building from scratch, but if you are, it's a really cool thing to do.
Cool.
Anyway, we're getting a little off topic here. In terms of the market, you and I were talking about this before. You're seeing lots of condos and townhomes right now, right?
Yeah, we were talking about what's moving, and what we see is kind of a cross section of what's going on in the marketplace. So I have market research for sale if anyone's interested.
Okay, yeah, right. There you go.
But no, we see a lot of activity in condos and townhomes,
Right.
Which is people kind of moving into the entry level part of the market.
Yep.
Which is great. And
My first home, by the way, was a townhome.
Yeah.
I've said this before. That first one's the hardest one. So don't bite off more than you can chew. Buy yourself a townhome or a condo. Get started. Start building equity with the smaller piece, and then let that grow into bigger pieces later.
And
Go ahead.
they're building a lot of really cool new townhomes in great locations now too. So townhome doesn't mean you have to live somewhere that you don't really want to.
Right.
No, we're seeing lots of townhomes being built in Summerlin. We're seeing them built in the Northwest. We're seeing them built in the Southwest. They're being built all over the
All
valley.
over.
Yeah.
And they're not townhomes have that stigmatism sometimes that it's this cookie cutter small,
Or you got a neighbor who's going to be
yeah.
playing. The walls between these units are very well soundproof. By the way,
Right.
the standards for construction for townhomes and/or condos, for that matter, are very stringent here in Vegas. So you don't have to worry too much about that.
Right.
And when you're looking at a townhome, I mean, look, it's the first. Maybe you're going to be there 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years or whatever it is. But then, as you're building equity with that one, that next home can be the single-family home, perhaps. Maybe it's next time it's just an end-unit townhome or whatever it is. But you make those moves up as you're younger. Yeah. But don't be afraid to jump into buying your first piece of real estate. Don't reach for the one you think you're going to live in the rest of your life. That's never the case.
No.
We all say that. Oh, this is the last home I'm ever going to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't we all say that? Yeah. But it's not. Inevitably, things change, and so you have to do some other stuff. Okay. So, HOA maintenance and homeowner maintenance. Periodic maintenance, guys. People don't always. They're not always keeping up with that stuff. What should we be thinking about?
Well, you have to know when you do buy a townhome or a condo, you do have to be aware of what is going to be your responsibility.
Right.
For maintenance. So you're almost certainly going to own an AC unit, an air conditioner and heating unit.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be probably the biggest piece of mechanical equipment that you'll own is that unit, followed by maybe your water heater.
Right.
and then your appliances, and then there's going to be a lot of things outside of the unit that you're not necessarily directly responsible for, but things that can definitely impact you. So,
Right.
so let's say you have an upstairs unit and the HOA maintained roof leaks and potentially damages your personal property. So there you're being affected by something that's not directly your responsibility,
Right.
but it's impacting you. Or maybe you have a downstairs unit and the neighbor upstairs has a leak someplace at the bathroom or the water heater, and that impacts your personal property. So I'm not saying this to scare you. It's just things that you have to kind of prepare for. And,
Yeah.
and if we're purchasing one of these homes and we're doing the inspection, things that we have to be on the lookout for. So we may take a look at the roof, even though you're not directly responsible for maintaining the roof. But
Right.
hey, let's find out if there's something that we need to tell the HOA about that they need to fix.
Yeah.
Or if there's a leak upstairs, we'll do some thermal imaging of the ceiling and see if there, is any leak showing up that
Right.
before you move in and have a problem. So
Yeah, whenever you see, I know you're very diligent about this, Ben. Whenever you see a water stain somewhere, you're like, "Ooh, where'd that come from? Why is there a water stain here?" And so,
we got to figure it out. It came from somewhere, so
Yeah.
we got to figure it out.
yeah, it's not magic. Yeah, it definitely happened. Hey guys, we're coming up on our first break. We're going to run a few quick commercials and come right back. We still got a whole lot to talk about, so stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in just a minute. Nice, good stuff. We'll talk about buying a rehab too. Yeah, there's good flippers and bad flippers.
What do they call it? Putting lipstick on a pig?
Yeah, I mean, too many of them are just trying the least expensive way to get the house flipped. But then there's others that do a really nice job. So you have to be, extra diligent, I think, when you're buying something that's clearly been
It
flipped.
takes a little extra work.
I think even a homeowner too. I mean, there's a lot of homeowners that like to do things themselves.
Of course.
Some of them can do it, and some of them can't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of them can't, by the way.
Not well.
I can
I'm
do
just
it.
saying.
It ain't gonna be
I'm
right.
not saying. I'm just saying.
It's not going to be right.
It'll work for a while.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Segment 2. Welcome back. I'm Harvey Blankfeld. You're listening to Las Vegas Real Estate Now. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. You ever have a question or an idea for the program, please call or text me at 702-203-1165. Again, that's 702-203-1165. With me now in studio, we have Ben Grove from VIP Inspection. We also have Rick Senemy here from WFG Title. Before the break, Ben, we were talking a little bit about condos and townhomes. I also want to talk a little bit about buying a home that's clearly been flipped. And I think, in my mind, your inspection on these is ever so critical. Not that it's not critical every time, but when someone's bought a home to flip it, there are good flippers out there and there are not so good flippers out there. So tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, if you're looking at a home that's been rehabbed or flipped, I guess,
Right.
which is maybe kind of a pejorative, but it's
Yeah.
what's happening.
Right.
Your inspector is definitely going to earn his money on this one.
Right.
Because there's things, because now you're dealing with a house that may not have been in perfect condition before.
Right.
And now someone's come in and they've done work, but no one's really lived in the home. So they haven't been using, let's say, the shower every day, or they haven't
Right.
been using the plumbing every day.
Right.
So we're really going to have to be looking for things that may not be correct and might show up later, and we're going to try to do everything we can to catch those at the time. So let's say the shower upstairs isn't sealed, so we're gonna run it. If I'm doing a property that's been rehabbed, and it's a 2-story home, I'm going to run the upstairs bathrooms extra long time. I mean, we usually try to run those at least 20 minutes anyway while we're doing stuff.
Right.
I may run them a half hour. I may run them 45 minutes.
Okay.
I may run them the whole time I'm there.
I think that's brilliant, actually. I like
When you
that.
say running them, you're just turning the faucets
Yeah.
on, walking away.
Right. Let it
Yeah.
run.
Are you
Yeah.
plugging up the drain?
Well,
and-
I may shower once in one of them, but
That's fine. That's fine.
I think you made a great point. Did they use proper drywall to
Yeah.
replace behind that shower? Because if they use just regular drywall as opposed to the stuff they need to use that's waterproof, then you've got a serious problem on your hands, and that's going to turn into a moisture issue and a mold issue. It's going to get ugly. So I'm glad to hear that that's what you do with those.
and we may still not be able to catch it.
No.
Well, I've had clients that have had the issue that you've talked about, but it hasn't shown up for 6 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
6 months later, you figure it out, and you take the shower apart, and you find out that it wasn't the correct thing behind it. And
Yeah.
So not everything is preventable, but we're going to do in that case, we're going to do everything we possibly can to be. And if you're looking to buy one of these properties, I mean, some of them are good deals, and it's not because you're buying a flip. You're not like padding the pockets of the person who did the flip necessarily. I mean, you might be getting a great deal when you look at the numbers, but when you walk into these places, a lot of times you can get the sense almost immediately for if it's good or not good.
Right.
So when you're looking and you walk in, just look at some of the detail work. So if the detail work is just off, then there's a chance that there's a lot of other things that might be off about it too. So kind of use your own judgment too when you first see the home.
Yeah, so when a flipper's doing these, some flippers are, like I said, there's good ones and bad ones. And the bad ones, they're looking to make the house just look nice.
Yeah.
Right.
They're looking about making the surfaces presentable and nice. They're not so concerned about the actual systems involved in the home. And they might try to skate by using an existing system that maybe wasn't working so efficiently or just flat out broken.
Yeah.
And then just making the tile look pretty and the walls look painted and so forth. So you really do, I think an inspector becomes even more important because there's some flippers are really good at hiding things. That's their objective is not to fix it and make it better, but to hide it so they can get more money. Yeah. And that's what they're thinking. I don't want to spend the money, but if I can make this thing go away without spending a lot, that's what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And that's a shame because it does happen. And so when you're buying a home that's clearly been flipped or rehabbed or as you said, then I think you want to be extra diligent. And like you said, look at those details. I was with a buyer yesterday. We were looking at some. We were actually looking at new homes we were talking about before, and he was looking at details. He was looking at the caulk lines between the tile on the backsplash in the kitchen. He was not happy with that. He's like, "Ooh, this doesn't look." I mean, even on a new build, I don't think they're. I think because new builders they count on subs so much. They're not. It's not 4 guys building a house. It's a variety of subs.
It's 100 guys building a house.
Yeah. It's plumbers and framers and electricians and so forth. So each one of these companies is different. They each have different crews, and some crews are better than others. So you want to follow up on that. And most builders are pretty good about following up and making sure things are right. But every now and then, you might see some things. So he was looking at new builds, and he was saying, okay, this builder's clearly on top of it. And this builder clearly was not, and he was able to discern in his own mind which builder he liked better than the other as a result of that. And I think
you can do the same thing, yeah.
Right.
You can do exactly the same thing with people who do rehab work. And from the first minute you walk in the house, and if you see some of those details that you don't like, you may save yourself a lot of time by saying, hey, maybe I just want to move on to a place that looks cleaner to me.
Here's the good news now, guys, is because and I'm not going to bring the monthly market update this week. We'll do it next week. But what I'm seeing is that we're turning more into a buyer's market because the inventory is increasing and it's going up every single week, and it continues to go up. And activity is about the same, which we'd like to see it pick up about this time of year, but it's not picking up like we'd like to see it, right, Rick?
There's been no pickup all year. I mean,
right.
We got a little pickup February, March, and it's kind of just stayed flat.
It has. We have not seen that usual spring rush. We have not seen that, and we're not seeing the kind of activity we normally see in the summer when families are looking to make moves. We're not seeing that same additional amount of buyer activity, so the inventory continues to swell and go up. It's not huge, but it's getting to the point now where I'm starting to say we're seeing kind of what's like a buyer's market. It's turning from sellers to buyers. And what that means is you have choices now. You may not have to settle for a home so much as maybe make sure you're looking at all the variety of them, including new and resale, flips and foreclosures, everything. Look at everything. One of the things I'll say, I say this all the time. I was just working with these buyers yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. And I say that buying a home is a process of elimination. You want to see all your options and eliminate them as you go. Don't focus on one segment to start with. Say, I'm going to stick with it. No. Let's look at all my possibilities and then narrow that search either from a geography standpoint or just from a style of home or whatever it is. But let's narrow the search over time and take our time and be diligent and thorough with it. And that's what's happening right now. And now you can do that. For years you couldn't do it because you only had 3 choices. It's like this house, that house, or that one. That's all you got.
By the time you got to the 3rd choice, the first one sold.
Yeah. And so plus you're competing with investors and other things, and now it's not quite that way. So now there's opportunities for you guys, and I think that what you're seeing is, and I'm gratified to hear this. You're seeing a lot more townhomes and condos for entry level buyers. Yeah. I love that. Yep. I think that's terrific. But yeah, if you're out there buying a flip, make sure you hire a quality inspector like Ben to do your home inspection. And if you want Ben, just text his name. Text Ben to 702-203-1165. And I'll put you in touch with him, and he'll do your inspection for you. We love it when the callers call in and ask for help. It's one of our favorite things to do. So whenever you guys do that, I'll pass your information on, and he'll take care of you. Rick, we were talking a little bit about entry-level buying. We were talking about condos and townhomes. Are you seeing that type of activity also from an escrow perspective?
And we're seeing the activity, jump a little bit in that market segment.
Okay.
It was interesting though because I started to look at some of the data from last month, and I can't remember which one. I'll pull it up during the break, but one of them actually fell in the median home price, and which was interesting to see that fall off a little bit because everything else had held steady.
Yeah.
And so I think right now you have buyers out there who want to buy, and they're, like you said, they're eliminating what they really can't afford is
Right.
what I think what they're eliminating right now. And they're settling into small single family home,
Right.
condo, townhome, and just depending on what their needs are. So, we're seeing the transaction counts remain kind of the same.
Yeah.
But the mix of them are definitely different.
It is different. It's like top and bottom so much, not so much in the middle
Exactly.
is maybe what we're seeing.
Right.
Yeah. Ben and I were talking about it before the show. I think that's what we're seeing as well. Yeah. I'm encouraged to see the entry level stuff happening, and I think because that's critical to the health of our real estate market is that we get entry level buyers buying homes again, because they were shut out basically for years. It was really impossible or difficult for them to do that, and now those possibilities are growing. And I want people to get the message that, hey, take a look, guys, meet with a lender, establish a budget, and start looking at property. If you need help if you don't have a trusted realtor, call me. I'm going to help you. But hopefully you do have a trusted realtor, somebody you can trust to help you make the right decisions for yourselves. Okay, so all right, so when we talk about new homes one more time, I love the fact that you guys do that that stud walk or whatever, the pre-drywall.
Yeah.
But I also recommend when you're buying a new home is that you hire Ben at 11 months. And you've heard me say this before. Just before your warranty's up, that first year bumper to bumper style warranty, have Ben or another inspector come into your home and do a thorough inspection, and then take that, and that's the punch list for the builder. Here you go. I just have my inspector in. Here's the stuff I need you to knock out for me. And just take advantage of the fact that you get a professional to do that for you. With that being said, we're going to take another quick break. We're at the bottom of the hour now, so we're going to take a few moments. We'll come back. We got a lot more to talk about. We're going to talk about why Nevada might be a good state to move if you're a retiree. That's strange. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute. Gesundheit. Okay. I'm just going to go right into 3. Here we go. Segment 3. Welcome back. I'm Harvey Blankfeld. You're listening to Las Vegas Real Estate Now. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. You ever have a question or an idea for the program, please call or text me at 702-203-1165. Again, it's 203-1165. With me now in studio, we have Ben Grove here from VIP Inspections and Rick Senemy from WFG Title. Guys, I found a couple of articles in the paper that I'd like to talk to you about. The first one being a study. And the headline of this one is, Nevada is among the top states for retirees, study says. And this is written by Emerson Drews in the RJ. And it talks about a recent study, and it goes on to say 4 Nevada cities rank in the top 10 places retirees are moving to, according to a new study. Nevada ranked number 7 in the list of top 10 states retirees are flocking to, with 4 Nevada cities also in the top 10 for cities, according to Smart Assets study. North Las Vegas, Paradise, Spring Valley, and Henderson. Now, these are talking about our townships.
I was going to say, I've never heard the city. I know where Spring Valley is. I don't think it's a city.
Yeah, it's not really. It's just a township, and that's fine. If they want to call it a city, let them call it a city. As long as it gets us in the top 10, I'm good with that. And Paradise is the same thing. But then you got Henderson and North Las Vegas. And Paradise and Spring Valley, that's Las Vegas, basically, is what it should be.
Right.
Respectively, had net gains of over 1,000 for individuals ages 60 and over in 2023. Overall, Nevada ranked number 7 for states retirees are moving to, with a net migration of 5,782. The total population age 60 and over is 757,348.
Wow. That's a big number.
That's a nice number for our valley, right? According to the study, Florida ranked number 1 with a net migration of 44,504. Well, Florida's a much bigger state than we are. I mean, population-wise.
Right.
Not geographically, but population-wise. Retirees with North Carolina, Arizona, South Carolina, and Georgia making up the top 5 states. Arizona kind of makes sense to me. These other states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, that's kind of a bit of a surprise to me, don't you think?
So that's probably East Coast people who don't want to go to Florida.
Yeah.
That's
Good
what
call.
that is, yeah.
Good call, Ben. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
And they don't like 110-degree dry heat.
Or it's
Yeah, they're not coming out here.
They're not coming
Well,
this
a
way.
lot of, it's funny. Having grown up in Baltimore, you never even thought about moving west. I mean, it was never when we vacation, we do things up and down the East Coast.
Right.
That's kind of about here. You do things up and down the West Coast. We don't really go back east, and I have family back there, so you just kind of stay in your neighborhood more or less.
You don't cross the Mississippi.
You just don't cross the Mississippi. North Las Vegas was number 2 city. 60 and up folks are moving with a net migration of 1420. The population of age 60 and over is 52,082. My dad's part of that when he's lived in North Las Vegas. Right after Paradise was 3rd with a net migration of 1416. Spring Valley was number 5, and Henderson ranked number 6. So we're 4, 5, and 6 right there, right in the middle of that pack. According to the study, Southwestern City is the most popular destination for retirees. Mesa, Arizona, topping the list, and Scottsdale at number 10. You know, we often compete with Arizona, with Phoenix for retirees. It's often a choice between the two.
They say in the real estate market, the climate, pretty much the same. Phoenix, Las Vegas.
Yeah, we're both hot. I mean, both desert. We're both now. Phoenix is I think it's a much bigger city than Las Vegas, or maybe we're catching up a little bit, but we're still a much bigger city.
I think land-wise, it's a much bigger city.
Yeah, it's sprawling.
It's big.
It's a big geographic area. You're right. Absolutely.
The metro area of Phoenix is much bigger than the metro area of Las Vegas.
I think you're right. Yeah, and we're defined clearly by our mountains that surround us. I mean, we're really in a bowl where Phoenix is a little more wide open. Although they have those big mountains there too. And the thing about Phoenix that's interesting to me is they've built way up into those mountains already. I mean, here we're just starting to creep up the hills now,
right?
And we're starting to see that happen here. But there, it's different. The thing for me is whenever I'm talking about somebody considering, and they tell me, "Hey, Harv, I'm thinking about either Phoenix or Vegas." You know, my feeling is for retirees, Vegas is so much better. I mean, I'm prejudiced, obviously, but I think it's so much better in the sense that you want your kids to come visit you, they're going to come to Vegas,
right? I mean, like I said, the climate's the same.
Yeah.
So every outdoor activity is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And then you have the strip, which they don't have there.
That's right.
You have the gambling, which they have gambling, but they don't have it the way we have it. I mean, the entertainment, I think we get a lot more entertainment here, especially now with the sports teams.
That's the difference that we have now that we didn't have before.
Right.
That's the thing. We have football. We have hockey. We're getting baseball.
We got WNBA. We're gonna wind up with an NBA team somewhere down the road.
Yep, we're gonna be we're gonna have all 4 major sports here in no time. Yeah,
got soccer too.
Soccer too, absolutely. So so Vegas has grown up quite a bit in a very short period of time, and so I would tell retirees, give us a look. Give us a look. Take a look. I mean, the tax advantages from some of those other states is dramatic.
10%.
Yeah,
it's roughly anywhere from 5 to 10% more money in your pocket.
Absolutely, you get an instant 10% raise.
Right.
And I remember moving here from Maryland because Maryland's taxes aren't quite California, but they were pretty significant. Moving here from Maryland, I was like, "Woo, this is really nice. These paychecks are beautiful."
Yeah.
When you just have the federal stuff taken out, you don't have to worry about state income tax. So think about that, guys. And so for retirees, if I'm a retiree, what are my objectives? I want to not have to worry about, if I'm back, I don't want to shovel snow anymore. That's one thing I don't want to have to mess with. But I also want to have a place where I can be entertained, where I can have a choice of maybe outstanding cuisine or foods or so forth. And Vegas is, we're a culinary capital now. I mean, we've got all of the chefs from all of the celebrity chefs are here. All the great restaurants are here. Even the locals. It's what's really cool. I was talking to clients about this. A lot of times the chefs who are working in the casinos, they'll retire from that, come out into our general valley here, open up a restaurant where we're going to get amazing food, and it's just for us. It's for locals.
Right. There's a couple of places in Green Valley where I live that are exactly that.
Yeah. I have a favorite restaurant on the west side that I like to go to. He was a former chef in one of the big casinos, and now he's got his own place, and it's amazing. You go there, you get the incredibly fresh pasta and fresh seafood. Yep. It's incredible. And so I would say, that's just one aspect of the lifestyle. Because retiree, the choice is about lifestyle. That's what it's about. That's what Sun Cities are selling. They're selling you a lifestyle choice where maybe you're going to get together and play poker with a bunch of guys, or maybe you're going to go on a bus trip to catch a show up in southern Utah, or maybe you're going to just run down to the casino and just play, and that's fine too. Because a lot of retirees, they like to play. They like to gamble, and that's fine. As long as you control yourself. Don't come to Vegas if you have a problem with gambling.
No, they have a phone number for that now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you have a phone number.
Just call the number, no more problem.
No biggie. But that's when people ask me, and it's fresh in my mind. These people ask me, well, why Vegas? And I would tell them, these are the things I would tell you that to me as a retiree is phenomenal. I wish I could retire I mean, I can't retire anytime soon. I don't have enough money to retire yet. But if I did, I would love to be here. This is phenomenal. And I would probably, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was down in Lake Las Vegas. If I could retire, I might move to Lake Las Vegas and be there and be in a resort area. It's gorgeous down there. It's beautiful. It's lush.
It is really nice.
You got the water. You got everything. It's amazing.
I'm still shocked it hasn't taken off. It's gotten much, much better.
Oh, it's doing well. Yeah.
And I think over the next couple of years, it's going to even.
Yeah, there's a lot of new builds down there.
Yeah, it's just they've always had a hard time with the infrastructure part there as far as the stores and things like that.
And they just put that big Smith's down there. It's right there. It's only, it's like a 5-minute ride, so it's real close. So they've done better. And you're right. When they first started, you had to drive quite a ways just to get to a grocery store. Mm-hmm. But now it's there. And and you've got and it's there's a variety of communities, so you have all kinds of choices. But there's also a beautiful Sun City down there, and they have gorgeous homes, and some of them have incredible views of the lake. So you can go out there and just wake up in the morning and just look out at that beautiful body of water here in the desert, here in Las Vegas, and it's just unheard of. So anyway, I drone on about retirees here in Southern Nevada, but it's an important topic, and they're a big part of our community right now. And I don't want everyone out there to understand that when you're shopping, when you're thinking about where to settle, I think you got to give Vegas a shot. You got to take a look at us. And apparently a lot of people are. A lot of people are thinking about us for that. But I think there is definitely an East Coast bias. I think your call about people moving either Florida or just north of Florida is probably a choice.
It's just warm enough.
Right. They don't want to shovel snow.
No.
But as I'm watching the weather patterns down there, I was like, I don't want to deal with that either. It's kind of scary. Those hurricanes that they deal with down there, that's ugly. I mean, we dealt with a little bit in Baltimore, but you don't want to be in a hurricane. It's no fun.
I've been in a few of them, so
yeah, it's no fun, right? I mean, it's just brutal. That's one thing we don't have to worry about here in Vegas. Nope.
If we do, we have a problem.
Oh yeah, that would be a big problem. If we had a hurricane hit Vegas, that would be a major issue. Hey guys, we're coming up on another quick break. We're going to have a few quick commercials. Come back. I still got a lot more to talk about. We're going to talk about maybe the idea that home prices might actually start to come down here in Southern Nevada. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute. Segment 4 already. Is there anything else you wanted to add today, Ben?
Let me look up that.
I think we
did.
I think we got a lot.
We got your sheet.
We got a lot of it.
We got your sheet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. We did it.
Good.
Quick producer note. Rick, you're too far cheated that way. Can't see you well in the camera.
I'm sorry.
And I'd like to see some more facial expressions. Both of you guys are going.
Well, you can't see me. You can't. How do you know?
Think about what your face is portraying to the audience.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
There it is.
Please
Thanks, Spielberg.
Please
Yeah,
don't.
you got it.
At least I'm not shouting the phone number over top of Harvey.
Yep, absolutely. Don't give Rick any ideas. All right. Okay, we're gonna talk about this one because this is, and I'm gonna do. I really do wish I had done the monthly market update, but we'll do it next week. But I pulled the data, and the data's there, and it supports this comment.
Condos.
Prices could
Condos.
start dropping.
Condos
Went down?
and compared to condos went down month to month, year to year.
Wow.
Interesting. Wow.
Townhomes went down year to year, not month to month.
Okay.
Interesting.
Single family is up
Single family's at record high.
485.
485, tied for the record high.
And flat, it went $2,000 up
Yeah.
on all. If you add all properties together, it's flat.
It's flat. Yeah.
But yeah, condos and townhouses, median price coming down, which I think that's why you're seeing more activity.
Yep.
Because now they're
It's good. It's good. I'm telling you, it's heading that way. We're going to see. We're going to see this. This is going to come to fruition. So, all right, let me get into that. Here we go. Segment 4. Welcome back. I'm Harvey Blankfeld. You're listening to Las Vegas Real Estate Now. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. You ever have a question or an idea for the program, please call or text me at 702-203-1165. Again, that's 702-203-1165. With me now in studio, we have Ben Grove from VIP Inspections. We also have Rick Senemy here from WFG Title. Rick, I saw this article and I thought about you and me talking about our market conditions, and the headline of this one is Las Vegas Valley home prices could start dropping report, and it's written by our good friend Patrick Blennerhassett from the RJ. It goes on to say Las Vegas Valley home prices could begin to drop in the second half of the year, according to a new Redfin report. Now, Redfin, they're not my favorite source of data, but but I think they actually did get this one right. Pending sales have fallen in May compared to the same month last year, marking a weak home buying season for the area. According to Redfin, the Las Vegas Valley is third in the country when it comes to a drop in pending sales, down 17.7% year over year, which is just behind Fort Lauderdale at 18.6 and San Jose at 18.3. At the same time, Las Vegas registered the highest active listing growth in May among the top 50 metro areas in the U.S. The reason for low sales has been particularly weak demand in the Las Vegas region. High mortgage rates and high prices are keeping the lid on demand. Even though the stock of homes for sale is growing, most sellers in the Las Vegas metro area have significant equity in their homes that created during the run-up in prices, and so few sellers are feeling the pressure to sell quickly with prices still rising. I think that it's interesting. You know, we and I don't have the monthly market update this week. I apologize. We'll have it next week. But the median price on single-family homes it went to $485, which is tied for the all-time high on single-family homes. And what that means is that they haven't dropped. However, we have to look at that mix because we were kind of talking about this beforehand. You have a lot of very, very high-end homes selling right now.
Right.
A lot of them. I mean, multi-million dollars, $6 and $7 and $5 and $11 and $10 million homes selling, which, even though it's not average, it's still skewing the median.
Well, yeah, and I think people understand what the median is.
Yeah.
Is it's the number in the middle.
Right.
So you could have, 11 homes sold, 5 of them sold at 10 million, 5 of them sold at 200,000, and 1 sold at 485.
That's right.
Our median's 485.
Right.
So you always want to compare median to average.
Right.
To kind of see what that is.
And what we're seeing, and I think that this article is probably, I mean, look, and we're not about predicting, but we do kind of get our hats on to help you guys, help our listeners understand what's happening, what the trend is starting to see. And we're starting to see the trend, as we said before, it's turning into a buyer's market. We're seeing more inventory, more options for buyers. But interesting enough, the prices have held, but I think they have to start to slip.
Again, the price, when you look at it just as price, I think it's a misleading number. And the reason I say that is that I see a lot of contracts. I see the one line in the contract, 2 lines in the contract now.
Yeah.
Commission.
Yeah.
Where commission has been it's been very stable in the range.
It has not gone away. Yes.
It has not gone away, but the number that's changed, closing costs.
Yeah.
That closing cost number is growing, and it's growing rapidly. And I've seen contracts with $20,000 in closing costs from the seller. So, yeah, the net price to the seller is much less.
Right.
But when it gets reported as a sale, it gets reported as what was actually sold at.
Yeah, because sellers like that. They like seeing the big sale number as opposed to dropping the price, and they're happy to help out with costs to keep that number high. And so they're doing that for the effect of having a higher sale price.
Exactly.
And that's, maybe from a bottom line standpoint, maybe not the smartest thing to do, but it makes them feel good. It makes them feel better.
But from a buyer standpoint, it's usually better to do it that way.
Absolutely.
And use that money to buy a rate down than it is to pay a lower price. Unless you're paying cash, then that's different. So
yeah, but if you're using a mortgage and the seller's willing to help you with closing costs and you need less cash to get into the property, you just need your down payment and maybe inspection and appraisal costs, that's all you need to get. Great. Let the seller help you with those closing costs. And sellers are happy to do it, again, to get their price.
Right.
They'll do it to get their price, and they understand the nature of that. And then you're right. And then it's reported as the regular price, but with the difference being that the sellers are now contributing a lot more cash to help the buyers out.
Exactly. And my point to that is that number grows. It can only go so high.
Yeah, eventually
the
you
closing
can't.
cost number can't be an astronomical amount. So what's going to have to happen is you're going to start seeing prices come down with closing costs, maybe not as much.
That's a great point, Rick.
So
it is going to happen because you're right. Yeah, some programs you can contribute 3%. Some programs you contribute 4%. Some you can contribute up to 6%, depending upon what the program is. But then it stops. They don't let you. You can't contribute beyond the actual cost. You can't help a buyer with down payment. That's loan fraud. You can't do that. Right. You can only help them with actual costs. Now the costs could be regular closing costs, or they could be something to buy down the rate. They could be all those things and up to a certain amount. But once you get to that cap, then if the buyer's not satisfied, they're getting a good enough deal. It's going to come off the price.
Exactly. And I think in these numbers, when you start looking at what's available on the market, obviously plays a huge factor on price. But you diving into that number and looking at the segment.
Yeah.
So look at the 300 to 500 segment or below 500. What does that really look like? Has that inventory gone up?
Yeah.
When that inventory starts going up, then prices are going to have to start coming down a little bit because now they're not buying the higher end stuff either.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. And look, what we're seeing is not something that's going to be like a major shift. We're not going to see a prices dive. That's not what I don't predict that at all, and I don't think anybody is predicting that. But we will see some correction. We'll see some softening of prices over in the coming months. I do believe that's going to happen because the demand has not been seasonally strong enough to keep up with the inventory growth. And as we see the inventory, like I said, every week it's going up. I mean, and some weeks dramatically so. Year over year, it's huge. I mean, our inventory is almost double what it was a year ago in some places, in some segments of our market.
right.
Nationally, in the article, he goes on to say, nationally, new listings of homes across the country are up 2.5% from this time last year, which is the smallest increase in the past 5 months. New listings are falling in 20 of the 50 biggest metro areas. So new listings are falling in some markets, not here, not in Vegas. The report outlined the current conditions putting pressure on the market across the country. So in other markets, they are seeing their inventory drop a little bit, but not here, not in Vegas. Our inventory continues to go up.
Yep.
And Ben, you and I were talking before the show, and we talked about the idea that a lot of that middle market, a lot of them are looking at new.
That's what we're seeing.
Right?
Yeah, we're not doing that many resale inspections for people in that, say, 2,400 square foot range.
Right.
Those mid-size family, single family homes. Yeah, those people seem to be going towards new homes.
And I think that's because the builders are very, very smart in the way they're marketing. What they're marketing, guys, is the rate. They're marketing because they bought a nice big tranche of mortgages, and they can sell them at a much lower rate than, say, most individual home sellers can. However, I have to point out that as a home seller, you can do the same thing. You can make a negotiation with a lender to offer a better rate with a buy down. You can throw money. Sometimes it's better to offer $10,000 towards a buy down than to drop your price $25,000.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a better strategy for a seller. So sellers know this as an individual seller, as a seller of a resale property. You have that opportunity too. You can help a buyer buy down the rate. And we were just kind of talking about that in terms of closing costs. Maybe make that part of your marketing strategy to help the buyer get a better rate, because if that's what they're interested in, and a lot of buyers are all rate conscious because they're wishing they had taken advantage of 2.5% and 3%, and now they're looking at 6 and change. And so that's what builders are very smart. They're marketing the rate, and they're paying closing costs too.
They're
all the time. They
always just get to spread it over 100 units,
right. Yeah.
and make it work for them.
Yeah, when you're dealing with something like that. And look, for a lot of people, and I love helping people buy new homes, by the way. So if you're thinking about buying new and you want a realtor to help you, I'd love to help you. And I would tell you should have a realtor help you, because the builders would pay our commission for you. It doesn't affect your price to the property. So by all means, give us a call, or call your trusted realtor and have them help you with the new home, because we can find out things for you that you might not find out for yourself. And we can help you negotiate things you may not be aware that you can negotiate within the context of a deal. So think about realtors out there. Think about your favorite trusted realtor when you're out there looking at new homes. And if you don't have one, give me a call. You've heard my number. You know what my phone number is. I'm going to talk about my phone number again, by the way. I'm going to bring it up just a couple more times before we end the show here, which reminds me, I think we're going to come up on the bottom. And I got to say, what a fun real estate hour we just had. I got to thank Mark, our production director. Thank Carly once again for doing a great job. And I must thank our outstanding expert contributors today, that being Ben Grove from VIP Inspections and Rick Senemy from WFG Title. You've been listening to Las Vegas Real Estate Now. I'm your host, Harvey Blankfeld. Next week, we'll have another fantastic hour for you. Next week, we're going to have the pre-discussed Patrick Blennerhaus is going to be on with his good friend Nicholas Irwin from the UNLV Business School. And Patrick, of course, is a writer for the RJ. If you ever have a question about real estate or any of the other topics we cover, just call me off air or text me at 702-203-1165. Again, that's 702-203-1165. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, that being LV Real Estate Radio. Like and follow us on social media. Our handle is at LV Real Estate Radio. And I want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us this week. Remember, while we seek to educate, empower, and engage with you, we want you to learn, understand, and then act. We'll meet you on the radio next